Welcome to Spotler's April webinar. Nothing like leaving it till the last day of the month to get it in there, but we like to keep you on your toes. And as you can see from the title slide, and hope you remember from when you signed up today, we're talking about branded games. And I have special guest with me, Cari Kirby, who is the head of client services at Peek and Poke. Cari, thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to introduce yourself before we get started?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I'm quite excited about this one. I love talking about games, always something a bit different in marketing. So yeah, I'm Cari Kirby. I'm the head of client services at Peek and Poke. I've been with the company now for, I want to say, coming on to 8 years. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, so we've been working with lots of different clients to create game campaigns for them. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of learning today.
So just before we go through, I was looking through the registrations. I see a few people whose names I've never seen pop up before. So especially warm welcome to you. And I thought I'd just explain how this is going to work. I'm mostly here for the running the back end for this time, making sure it all goes smoothly. So logistics wise, about 45 minutes worth of content today. I know we blocked out an hour session, but that was to make sure that we've got time for a Q&A at the end. Hopefully you can see on your control panel at the sides there, some of you already found the chat, which is great. There's also a questions panel there, and if you can pop any questions you have for Cari or for me in there, you can do that at any point during the session, but we will just answer them on bulk at the end. The only practical difference it makes using questions rather than chat is that GoToWebinar saves the questions against the email address you registered with. So if your question is something that we don't know off the top of our heads, or it needs a slightly more detailed answer, or if we just run out of time, if there's so many we have to let you go and get on with your days, we can't get around to it, that just makes it a lot easier for us to follow up with you afterwards, make sure you get that burning question answered properly. On the subject of the email address you registered with, we are recording the webinar today. Once we're finished here, if you give me about 24 hours, I'll just make sure it's all neatly polished up and looks the best it possibly can. And then we will email it to you to the address that you registered with to join us. If you haven't had it within 24 hours, first of all, check your junk folder. If you've not been to many Spotler webinars before, then your email provider might not recognize the Spotler events domain yet, so it might be just sitting in there for you. If it's not there either, the recording will be on our website, spotler.co.uk/resources, shortly after it gets circulated around. So you will be able to get a recording one way or another. Those of you that are joining us live here on Tuesday morning, we'll also send you a PDF of the slide deck, so you can go back and have a look at those stats and facts and figures that we're going to share. You don't have to worry about taking super detailed notes. So you can share them back with your team, watch them back yourself, do whatever you need to do. That's the functional bit. Again, there's a few of you who I don't recognize, so I thought I'd just say who Spotler are. We are a ever expanding, at the moment, marketing team with a single mission, which is making marketers more successful more easily. About 4,000 companies are using one of the modules in the Spotler platform, and over time we've spent somewhere in the region of 18 billion messages out, which is getting on for sending 3 emails to every single person in the world, which blows my mind every single day still. I've been here 6 years and I can't quite get my head around that total volume. That is to all the clients that use the platform. That's not just us writing loads and loads and loads of emails. As I said, it's a modular system. What we're building towards very rapidly is a marketing automation platform that allows you to do all your marketing activities. So a set of modules that all work as standalones but are designed to interlock efficiently. So that includes a CRM platform, that includes website visitor identification, that includes the core email product, also includes website personalization and social media management platforms. And we've just had an announcement from our parent company that they've acquired an events platform as well. So we are really trying to bring all your marketing activity into one place. So there's not going to be any need to export CSV files, data files, PDFs, however you do them. Stuff will just flow through all your systems to make your marketing life as easy as possible. A lot of our customers will just take the platform, run with it, speak to us every so often. and they're fine. But then alongside the live support and the regular account management that is offered to everyone, we have more technical teams in place, the deliverability and pro services teams particularly, that if there's something you're struggling with, whether that's creating a new campaign, designing a template, building out ideas, there's a lot of knowledge built within the company to help you get the most out of that platform, and that's available to any and all customers. The last bit I've got of blowing our own trumpets before I hand over to Cari to talk about the stuff you came for. On our Trustpilot and our G2 reviews, the thing that for me is most important is that pretty much every review cites a member of the team, whether that's support, account management, services, creative, one of those. So we are of course we're proud of the software. That is the number one reason why we're here, but we're very, very proud of the people behind them that you will come into contact with as you use the platform in whichever way you do so. So that's the Spotler pitch, Spotler information. So now I'm gonna go quiet until the end. I'll be keeping an eye on the chat. So if you have any issues, questions, things going on there, you can. But I'm going to hand over to Cari to talk you through the gaming portion of the session.
Well, thank you very much, Richard. Thanks very much for having me. Yes, like I said, I want to talk to you today about how important it is to create meaningful and valuable connections with our audience, and how we can begin to do that with something that's a little bit different, branded games. So for the next half hour, I am going to be taking you through why meaningful and emotional connections are super important in our marketing. And then we'll go on to talk a little bit more about the current global games market, what that looks like, who's playing and why. And then we'll have a look at how people have actually implemented them. So obviously this is probably one of the biggest challenges, where you might think that's great, but where does it fit? How does it work for my brand? I have got some B2B and some B2C examples as well. And then before we finish up, I will just have a look at 5 things that you shouldn't do. Okay, is that everything? Is that what you came for? I hope so. Let's get started. So when I'm in a room with people, I would often quite like to ask at this point, who is B2B and who is B2C, just so that I can get a feel for the room. And I like to start with just trying to work out what the difference is between B2C and B2B are, and see if we can kind of find some differences. So people generally come up with a few things. Multiple stakeholders in B2B versus B2C, a much longer sales cycle. That's certainly the case in our business. I'm sure it is for lots of you who are in B2B. Careful evaluation of the cost and features benefits. You know, we do lots of kind of considering and thinking and evaluating the risks before we buy something in B2B versus B2C. All of this might lead you to think that we think about our decision-making process, our buying process, in a much more rational way. Turns out that 95% of our decision-making takes place in our subconscious. So the Harvard Business School did a great study, and it's shown that we aren't nearly as logical as we like to think. So when we're purchasing any product or service, it's usually emotion that drives the decision, with rational thought bringing up the rear. And that is very similar in obviously both B2B and B2C. So there was a really great, and I implore you to go and have a look at this study. It's a great study. It's a Wunderman-Thompson study. It revealed that when looking purely at the influence of emotional and rational factors in buying decisions, 34% fell within the rational space in B2B, while emotional connections represented 66%. That is pretty much exactly the same as B2C. So while we might think that we are more rational, and we go to work and we put our business hats on and we do things differently to when we do at home, actually we are only human after all, and we do have a lot of, emotions. We do think about things, but those subconscious decisions, things like brand, things like, emotional connections, they make a difference, and they are really valuable in that purchasing decision across both B2B and B2C. Same study, having a look at the results of those emotional connections. You are 2.2 times more likely to be remembered if you are connecting with your audience on an emotional level. 20% more trusted, 2 times more likely to even be considered in the race, 5.3 times more likely to be the first choice, and then 16% more likely to be recommended. So, really great facts about how important it is to connect on a emotional connection in a meaningful way with our audience. So what does any of this have to do with games? I will get to that, I promise. But before I do, I just want to kind of have a look at the games industry, who's playing and why they're playing, just to get a sense of why I'm talking to you about games in a marketing seminar, essentially. So who's playing and why? There are 3.1 billion people worldwide who are actually playing games right now. This was 2022 figures from Newzoo. 50% are women. Yes, we like to play games too. It is certainly not the privilege of teenage boys playing console games in their bedroom anymore. We all have smartphones in our pockets, and it's very easy to reach for and distract ourselves with a little game every now and then. So yes, the demographics are very different to what they used to be. I love this slide. This kind of has a look at how we spend our leisure time. So all the purples at the top are the traditional forms of entertainment: reading, listening to music, watching broadcast TV. And then the bottom half, in those bright peak and poke colours, are modern entertainment. So that's streaming music, social networks, and playing video games. Now, Gen Z at the bottom here, 25% of their time is spent playing video games. That might be no surprise. Millennials, I'm a millennial, I'm 41 years old. I'm just about still clinging on to the millennial tag there. 21% of our leisure time is spent playing games as well. Gen X, 18%, that's still quite a lot, and then baby boomers at 10%. So if you are targeting people between 11 and 42, chances are we are consuming games anyway. This is a medium that we are used to. We are already playing, more so than anything else. So when I'm in a room with people, I do like to ask this question and kind of throw it out to people just to see if, anybody gets close. Typically, nobody really gets close. So in 2023, the global games market was worth 187.7 billion. That is growing all the time. It's set to surpass 200 billion this year. So it is a massive, massive industry that is bigger than the music industry and the film industry combined. So it really is no surprise that this is starting to have a commercial value. It's starting to, make an appearance in marketing, and across the board as well, not just kind of like the McDonald's monopoly. It's where it's seeing it filter through a lot of different companies, a lot of different sizes, and through a lot of different verticals as well. So why are so many of us playing games? What is it about games that we love? They play to our basic instincts. They play to our human nature. Things like achievements, progressing through levels, unlocking exclusive items, collecting points, all of those things fire off the dopamine chemical reaction in our brain. We want to go again. Just one more time. Oh, if I just go one more time, I'll get to the next level. All of these things we can't help. We are human. It's in human nature. So if a game is created with those great game mechanics in mind, you will get, constant engagement. You want to go back and play again and again and again. Competition, we are a competitive bunch, there is no denying. You know, we like to get on top of the leaderboard just for the kudos. You know, we want to measure ourselves against our peers, against our family, against our friends. Immersion, escapism, cooperation, all of these things, you know, we love as a human race. But more importantly than anything, games are fun. So if games are built with these core mechanics in mind, they are fun to play. And you know, Lord knows, we need a bit of that, that's for sure. So I've got a couple of videos that I want to share with you today. I've got the first one here. And I love this video. It's a video that we took when we were at a trade show, and we focused on people's faces just so that we could see how people react and engage with games when they're playing. So I'm just going to mute myself so that you can hear the audio. Bear with. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully the sound came through on that okay. Let me jump to the next slide. So you'll notice there a breadth of emotion when people are playing games. You know, there's frustration, there's surprise, there's delight, all of these lovely emotional feelings. You know, as marketers, we want our audience to feel something so that they do something, right? That's the crux of it at the end of the day. And games can really help create those emotional connections between audience and brand. Okay, that's all the stats bits and the games industry, and you know why it is so important to create this emotional connection with your audience and how valuable it can be to either, you know, B2B companies or B2C. So next up, let's have a look at some examples. Let's have a look at some case studies of how people have actually implemented them and the results they've got off the back of it. Games can fit in a lot of different kind of parts of the funnel. They can help you raise awareness, increase engagement with current customers, lapsed customers, you know, prospects. They can help with acquisition, even drive revenue in some cases, data capture and lead generation as well. So lots of different use cases. Depending on what your objective is, there's definitely a game mechanic or a game campaign that can work for you. Okay. So the first example I'm going to show you is a B2B example. This campaign was created for a agency, a creative design agency who do a lot of SEO, called Sleeping Giant Media. They wanted to increase their kind of awareness across social media, across LinkedIn. They wanted to capture more details, capture more prospects, just so that they could grow their audience. So they created this game. They used a game that we already have. They added their logo to it, changed the colors so that it looked like their brand, and they created the most phenomenal 10-week campaign. It's quite a long time to run a game campaign, 10 weeks, but they went really deep with the content. They put a really nice promotional campaign around it. So I'll just share the video because it does a really good example of just, you know, what it is they are asking people to do. So I'll just mute myself again. So that was, you know, you can really see they had prizes. There we go, that's better. They had prizes every week, so it kind of encouraged people to come back. It was a multi-level game, so it had 10 levels that people had to, you know, that got increasingly more difficult as they went on. There you can see Danny over here with his competition wheel to see what prize was going to be given out that day. So they were always chatting to their prospects, to their LinkedIn community on a weekly basis about something that was really fun. It was also around the time of Squid Game, so they really played on that kind of on that program and how big it really got. You know, lots of people were talking about it, so they piggybacked off of that campaign, created lots of social content, and they created a really fun video as well. So I'll just share this last video.
Here is the next game. You will be playing Giant App Attack. I will explain the rules. Swipe the screen to match 3 or more tiles. You must achieve the specified amount of tiles in the top corner to succeed. The players that match the required number of tiles will pass this round. Submit your score to the leaderboard for a chance of winning the weekly prize. With that, let the games begin.
There we go. So really piggybacking off of really piggybacking off the, you know, hype that was around that that phenomenal series. Okay, let's have a look at some results. How did it work for them? So bearing in mind that their objective was to, you know, increase awareness, capture data, and get some new qualified contacts, it did incredibly well. So it drove 3,500 page views to the landing page, increased time on that page on their website by 172%, 44% increase of impressions on LinkedIn, 8.2% increase to LinkedIn followers, and phenomenally 358 new qualified contacts. So these are people who are, you know, in a position to buy their products and services that they didn't know before. In fact, 60% of the players were completely new contacts to the company. And this is phenomenal. Bearing in mind that this is a 10-week campaign though, 2 hours and 49 minutes engagement time per player. That is a phenomenal amount of engagement, with 51% marketing opt-in rate as well. And they got lots of lovely compliments from their clients and prospects. People still talk about that campaign now when they're getting in touch with the business. You know, when we're thinking about those points earlier about, you know, 16% more likely to recommend you and 5 times more likely to be in the race. Sleeping Giant were able to really emotionally connect with prospects at that stage, and really kind of have those great conversations and be completely memorable because of that campaign. Okay, next up, this is a B2B, B2C example this time. So Quidco are they're a kind of a voucher discount service. They work with a lot of commercial partners to deliver discounts to their audience base. So lots of forums, lots of websites, lots of emails going out to their audience on a regular basis. They created I think actually towards the back end of the year, they did 3 games. So they had a Halloween game. They had this one here, which is the match 3, which was all about Black Friday. And they also did a Christmas game. So 3 kind of back-to-back quick succession games to test it, to see how it would go for them. They had brand partners involved. Brand partners sponsored different levels. They had different, you know, offers from different brand partners. So they were able to drive a commercial value for themselves on there, as well as engaging with their audience and giving those brands access to their audience as well. They had 3.5 million games played across those 3 campaigns, with an average engagement time of 16 minutes per player. Now, that might seem low in comparison to the B2B one, and it is. Across the board, I think we have our B2B audience see higher engagement figures than our B2C counterparts. And I think that is due to the fact that it's so surprising in B2B. You know, it's not something that you see all the time, whereas in a B2C world, it is more common. But, you know, also when we're thinking about average engagement times with other digital marketing in B2C, I think 16 minutes is pretty phenomenal. They also had 204,000 unique players across the 3 campaigns as well. So it did incredibly well for them, and it's something that they have bought into. They do them on a regular basis because their audience asks for them and they really engage and they really like them. So much so, they actually appear quite a lot on Hot Deals UK forum, which is typically where people go to complain. It's typically quite a negative forum. But when they run these game campaigns, it becomes a really positive place for positive interactions and communications with their audience base. You know, I don't know if you can see that, but people are saying that they're addicted to it, that they love it, they keep on playing, that they got knocked off and they have to play again. So lots of great opportunities to have positive interactions with their audience. One more B2C example. So this is Boohoo Man, in fact. They created or launched a collaboration with American rapper Quavo, who is based out in LA. They wanted to learn a little bit more about their app users and to launch this collaboration with something that was a bit different. So one of the problems that they have is that they have quite a lot of app users, but unless they purchase something, they don't know who they are. So they wanted to, you know, capture more data about the people who are playing, people who are visiting their app, and deliver something that was engaging and fun with this collaboration. So this was an exclusive app game. It sat as a web view within their app. They made a great campaign around it. You know, you could win cash prizes. You could also win items from the collaboration. If you played the game, you could win a free delivery. You could collect free t-shirts that they would send out to you, and there was lots of like special offer discount codes that were exclusive to the game as well. So yeah, it drove a lot of people to their app to play the game, and they had some great results from it. 41,000 players coming back to replay, on average 16 times per player. So that is testament, I think, to having special offers and things like that in your game and instant wins. So you don't see them all the time, but occasionally they'll pop up in your game, and then if you get it, if you grab it, that's a special prize for you. So another motivation, an extra way to engage your audience, you know, over and over again. They had an 11-minute average engagement time per player, which they were thrilled with. They had a 60% opt-in rate to marketing as well, which was perfect for them, with 665,000 games played across the campaign. So, you know, great figures there as well. And then this is my last example. This is a B2B example. Lots of our clients are using games to go to trade shows as a way to stand out, to drive footfall, and to capture data as well. You know, we all know how difficult it is when you're in an expo or trade show environment with all of your competitors as well. You know, we need to be able to stand out and do something a bit different. And with the importance of emotionally connecting, having a game on your stand is a great way to drive footfall. With a prize as well, it's an extra motivator to play and to leave your details. So this is a SaaS data company, and they had their game on a little iPad plinth. They had a really nice prize to give away, and they had over 100 scores submitted to the leaderboard. So those scores are leads. They have emails attached to them, and 51% of those actually off the bat opted into marketing, wanted to know more about the company. So these are, you know, already warm leads. And really nice comments there from the client who, you know, wanted something that was not swag, plastic swag that you're ladening your delegates down with, which is something I think we're all looking for, something that's a bit more sustainable, and something actually that has value beyond the trade show. You can move online afterwards as well. So that is all of my examples. Hope that gives you a nice kind of, you know, breadth of different examples, different industries, different ways of using it based on what the objectives are. So how to ruin it? What should we avoid doing if we're considering a game campaign? Number one, make it all about you. I know this is a difficult one, and actually it's the same across all kind of marketing comms, right? It's very easy for us to apply all of our messages, all of our kind of, you know, all of our talking points that we want to get across to somebody, put it all into something, and then hopefully something is picked up. But actually, with the game in particular, it really does need to be about the player. It needs to be fun to play first and foremost, and we don't want all of the marketing and brand messages getting in the way of gameplay, because if it does, they walk away from it, they leave it, you achieve nothing. So make sure, if you are commissioning a game from scratch, for example, or if you're white labeling something, that it is fun to play, that you can play demos, that, you know, your audience will enjoy it, and keep the messaging very, very simple. Ask for details up front. Okay, this is a big one, and it's quite controversial actually in the industry. There are lots of companies that will have, you know, the data capture form up front, and then you go on and you get to play the game. For us, that's not the point. We appreciate that, you know, it is probably one of the main objectives of doing something like this. We want to capture data. Yes, of course we do. But to create a game, to go to the effort of creating a game, let as many people play it as possible. That's what we want. We want as many people to enjoy this experience, to fire off those dopamine hits, associate that with your brand, and then ask them for their details to submit their score to the leaderboard to be in with a chance to win. So there's an extra motivator to play there. You are more likely to get the right data, you're more likely to get, you know, actual email addresses that, you know, belong to a person rather than fake ones, and you're more likely to kind of encourage those long-term connections. If somebody asks me for, you know, my email address straight away when I've not even done anything, I don't even know what I'm going to get, I just walk away from it, you will definitely see a huge drop-off, and that's not the point. We really want as many people to be encouraged to play your game as possible. Or too many details in general, that's an extra point as well. Obviously, we know that you want to capture email addresses, but actually try and keep it to 3 very simple data fields. You know, we don't want to be asking reams and reams and reams of questions, because even if they've played the game and then you're asking them what their shoe size is, what their favorite color is, and what their favorite football team is, you know, all of these questions will probably make people go, I'm done, I'm out of here. So keep it simple, let them have the experience first. Okay, offer a top spot prize. This is counterintuitive, I suspect. Lots of people think that, well, you know, we're competitive. I've said this myself earlier on. We want to get to the top spot prize. We want to get to the top of the leaderboard. All of that is absolutely fine, and we do. You know, we do like to compete. But in this instance, certainly in an online campaign, it is much better to do a free prize draw. So rather than rewarding the person on the top of the leaderboard, that might make people who aren't as good as the game, who kind of see that top score as unattainable, it might make them walk away from it. You know, it's like, oh, I'm never going to be able to beat that. I'm not that good at games, so I won't bother. That is not the point. We want as many people to play as possible. So make it as, you know, as inclusive as possible. Anybody who is on the leaderboard will be in with a chance to win a free prize draw. Now, in a trade show environment, if you wanted to also, you know, give kudos to those who are in the top 10 or get over a certain score, or, you know, are quite skilled, absolutely give them something extra as well. But not in a digital campaign, because it can encourage cheats, especially if your prize for the top spot is, you know, valuable or has a cash value to it. It will encourage cheats. Now we can, you know, we can check a few things to see if they have cheated the system. We don't want to encourage them. Let's just make it as inclusive as possible and keep it as a free prize draw so that everybody has an equal chance to win. Share gates and other dark patterns. This is the last two that I have. So again, this is if, for example, one of your objectives is to increase reach in social media. What some people want to do is let people play the game once, and then if they want to play it again, they have to share it with, you know, 10 people. Again, that's not the point. We really want as many people. If you're going to the effort of creating a game, you want as many people to play it as possible. If it is a good, fun, engaging game, people will share it anyway. They will share it with their colleagues. You can incentivize a share if you want. So put those people who share it in a separate pot and win a prize. If that's what you want to do, if that's one of the main objectives, that is certainly one way to do it. But don't not let them play. I can't stress that enough. Let's just make it as open and let as many people play them as possible. And then the last point, don't tell anybody about it. This is so important. Games, however much I wish they were, they are not a marketing magic bullet. You won't create a game, put it on your website, and hordes of gamers are going to come and play it. I really wish that was the case. But like everything in marketing, it really does need a campaign plan around it. It really needs, you know, talking about getting the best chance of having as many people playing it as possible. So don't just send it on your socials once, you know, keep on plugging away at it. Don't just send it to your email address, email subscribers once and then move on to the next thing. We need to continually talk about it, continually get people involved. Get your sales team involved as well. That's always sees great results when you have a sales team who are, you know, encouraging their prospects and their clients and their accounts to get involved and start playing and score. It needs a well thought out campaign plan around it as well. So just to wrap up, hopefully what I've given you today is just a little bit more of an overview of how games can be used, that they can help you create those emotional connections that are so valuable to businesses, whether that's B2B or B2C. You know, they can really help you connect with your audience in a fun and engaging way. They can be used across the marketing funnel, you know, whatever your use case is, they can help you to engage. And they can ensure that you stand out and do something different. And I think that is really important in a world where there are so many comms, so many marketing channels. It is really important to just step out and do something different. Thank you very much for listening, everybody.